Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Mark.
And I'm Alex.
And this is...
The SH0T Pod! Bounce! 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 Sorry, I thought I was at a concert there. Got a little excited.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've been to one. I'm seeing pictures online of my friends going to see like some local stuff and other things that are tours are starting up again, and it's just like in my soul it's dead for me because I don't want, I don't know, it's just weird after all these passports and you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. It's like now it's like, oh, you're allowed to do it. It's like, well, now that I'm allowed to, I don't fucking want to. You know what I mean? That's kind of my attitude.
Oh my God,
but I do want to. I just, in the back of my head, I do want to go see shows. But it's like, the principle is fuck you. Now that you're telling me I can, I don't really feel like giving you my money. You know what I mean?
I
had a chance to get my money last year, and I wasn't good enough for you because people might get sick.
I kind of have that same feeling. Like all the people who were like, "Well, show me your papers." I'm like, "Yeah, I really don't want to visit your business."
Yeah, now that you're not asking, I don't want to show you my papers voluntarily. My green, red, and purple papers with numbers on them.
But we got to be careful with that, though, because if it gets to the point where we're just not spending the money, they're just going to change it to a digital currency, throw away all our other money. It's going to be, oh, shit. Now.
See, there's no way to win.
No.
This is part of the bone grinding that they're doing for the whole New World Order thing. I'm telling you, man. They're just going to grind us.
Oh, the tinfoil.
Get your tinfoil hat on.
Okay.
Actually, no, it's funny because we were talking. Tom McDonald's a really funny guy that we enjoy his music. And
Yeah.
I'm going to admit, I mean, his political stances can be even a little hard right for me. I'll be honest. But I like him. I like that he'll stand up and say, part of the few, not the many. Fuck you. I respect it. Although the few is becoming 10 million views, 5 million views on videos. It's kind of cool. But he had a video he put out. They put him and Adam Calhoun put out a video called New World Order. And, the chorus is all just, get ready. Your facts aren't facts if we don't want them to be. Basically, welcome to the New World Order where we make the rules. That's the whole idea of the song. So he posted a video of YouTube censoring the video with one of those kind of like the COVID posts on Facebook. It says, "This post contains COVID. It's a trap." You know what I mean? So we've got those posts, right? And on this one, YouTube posted, "The New World Order is a conspiracy theory that means it promotes the idea of one world government." That's what it says. Yeah. So in the video, Tom goes, "Why are you labeling my video and putting a sense?" Because regardless of the fact that it's getting views, somebody will say, "Oh no, little Johnny can't watch this," or it's going to influence somebody not to view it, right? It's a negative thing. At the end of the day, they're putting just like those parental advisory warnings. It started as like a reason for kids not to get it. Eventually turned into a reason to get it.
Exactly.
But regardless, it's censorship of some kind, and there was a sales loss because of it. So he says, "How is it a conspiracy theory?" And then he posts 5 or 6 videos of one of them's Biden in the last few weeks talking about us preparing for the New World Order. And he goes all the way back to, what's his name? I think it was fucking Reagan or something like that, talking about it. And he's like, so how is this a theory? There's nothing theoretical about it. It's there. It's just, excuse me, they're talking about it coming. Yeah. So I'm kind of, as much as we like to joke about putting our tinfoil hats on, for those of you that really do feel like to believe in conspiracy theories, you need to have that hat on. It's an interesting video to watch. Your political leaders, the people that you trust, that you believe that you voted for in a non-corrupt democratic system where nothing is electronically altered, because that's the world we live in, right? Yeah. You just walked past your unicorn to vote. Anyways, sorry. So in that world that we live in, where we vote in a first past the post system, and the people go in, and then these members of parliament represent our needs, and we tell them what we want in our local communities, and then they go and they take our best interests, and they vote on bills and things based on that, and then bring people into power. If you believe in all of that stuff, those people that are part of that process talk about the New World Order all the time. So I don't know what's such a theory about it. So I'm kind of with Tom on that. That's my rant on that.
Well, I mean, it's definitely not a theory because, yes, we saw videos of Biden talking about, but there are also videos of Trudeau, and Trudeau has mentioned the New World Order as well as the Great Reset
100%.
in videos of Parliament. It's like, wait. So this is just supposed to be a theory, but they're literally talking about this. And if you bring this to anyone's attention, it's like, no. This is where, and it was literally brought up in a Parliament video where there was a member of Parliament who stood up and said, "Is there any credibility to what's his name, Carl Strauss?"
Okay.
The guy from the World Economic Forum,
sure,
who has openly admitted that he's infiltrated the Canadian government on video saying this. And so somebody stands up and asks the Liberals about this, and they shut off his mic and told him to sit down. Like, what?
Well, I remember I think I said this on a previous episode. I'll say it again. God, I miss the days when you were scrolling through on your TV and the Parliament channel was the most boring fucking channel. You couldn't imagine a world where you would sit through more than 45 seconds of that when you were a kid. I live for these videos now, especially Pierre Paul Everly. However you say his name. God, if I'm going to vote for that motherfucker, I got to learn how to say his name.
Yeah.
If he ends up...
Go Pierre Paul.
Yeah, Pierre Paul Everly from Quebec, or from Ottawa. Anyways, I live for his videos because of his rants. One of my favorite ones, similar to one you were talking about. So they told this guy to sit down, shut up. And Tom McDonald line, when we were kids, we were told to stand up for what you believe in. And as adults, we're told to sit down and shut up. Oh, yeah. It's fucking amazing. God, I love that line. But anyways, once again, being told to sit up. So there's a good example of, did you just fucking see what happened there? You know what I mean? Did you see the one where Trudeau walks out of Parliament?
Oh, he doesn't. He
doesn't answer the questions. He just stands up and fucking leaves abruptly.
He's done that repeatedly now, especially when it came to the trucker convoy stuff.
That was the topic at that time.
Yeah,
was why won't we talk? Why won't you just sit down and you don't have to agree to anything. You don't have to You just have to sit in a room and see if it's even reasonable. What they want is even, because we don't know that they couldn't have gotten in a room and budged and said, you know what, you can keep your mandates, but it doesn't apply to the truckers, or it doesn't apply to this specific trade. Let's leave it for healthcare workers. You know what I mean? You don't know if they were willing to compromise. I mean, the Vax Pass thing, they ended up getting rid of everything anyway, at least here in Ontario. But I'm just saying, it's kind of, you don't know where that conversation would have went. Why wasn't he willing to have it? He could have walked out of that room.
Yeah.
It would have made more of it would have, you know why? Because it would have taken real fucking leadership balls to walk out of that room to tell the truckers to eat his dick. He can't do that. He's such a spineless cocksucker. Yeah, that's right. I'm fucking done being nice about this guy. I swear to God. I'm not promoting violence against him. I'm just saying yell mean things at him in the street, okay? That's where we're at. But fuck me, this fucking spineless guy, he wouldn't even get in the room, because I would almost have a little respect for him if he got in the room and said, fuck you, this Vax Pass is happening. I don't give a shit if you don't like it. And then he gave them a big angry speech about health and caring about their grandma. Like, if he really took that liberal point, like, I disagree with all of these things. We all know I'm on the other side of it, but I would respect the man that sat up and said, I don't give a shit. This is about public health. And we have this, you know what I mean? If he really gave it to them, I could almost say, that goddamn Trudeau, what a stonewall he is. Yeah. We wouldn't even do that. It was he stood up and walked out of Parliament. Just the idea of even meeting set him off, and that's why we are so fucked right now.
So I mean, I want to talk about one of the biggest things of hypocrisy recently that he did. So he's in Parliament and he's accusing...
We won't spend the whole episode shitting on Trudeau. Give it like 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, we always warm up into our topic with something else.
This is a great topic to warm up with.
So during the trucker convoy, he accused conservatives. He confused as well as accused conservatives who were, what's the word I'm looking for? Related to Holocaust survivors as standing with Nazis. Okay. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because now with everything going on in Ukraine has a big neo-Nazi population. In fact, they have an entire battalion of 2,500 soldiers, and there's a photo op of Trudeau with the guy who created this neo-Nazi party. So how is it you're going to get mad at conservatives for standing with Nazis when they weren't, and then you're going to go stand with a Nazi? I don't understand.
That guy represents the Social National Party of Ukraine, the SNPU. Wow.
Right?
I will plead some ignorance here. Nazi versus neo-Nazi. Can you clear that up for me? Or maybe other people don't know the difference. Is it neo just means what, like new age? Like
new age
obviously
Nazi.
it's not the 40s, so the party don't really exist. So it means you're part of the non-existent Nazi party, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're a secret Nazi, neo-Nazi, right? Yeah, kind of. Okay, I'm just trying to.
No, because neo-Nazis are still open about it.
Oh, just okay, yeah.
Like the battalion will wear yellow flags on their arms. So if you ever see like the soldiers on TV wearing the yellow banners on their arms, it's like,
they're not the ones. It's the yellow and blue. That's the difference, right? If you want to move into that territory a little bit, we have not talked about the Ukraine at all, and there's a very good reason why we've waited about a month or so since it was newsworthy, I guess, since it started being like everyone knew about it, right? Half the people in Canada couldn't point Ukraine on a fucking map today, but even less of them could have pointed it out a month ago. Yeah. Now everyone's a fucking expert. So I always knew where it was because I had several friends from Belarus, which is just north of it.
Well, do you remember there was an episode where you were like, oh, yeah, well, this, I believe, is just north of here. And then you're like, wait, let me double check. And then you double check. You're like, I'm right.
Yeah. It's 6. I'm not stupid. Like, I mean, I am stupid with some things, but I like geography. I paid attention. I am interested in some parts of the way.
Sometimes my head is just a hat rack. Sometimes.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's just meant for holding my hat on.
I told you about breaking my PlayStation controller, so I'm capable of that, but I'm not capable. So what happened was I have my PlayStation controller. I sat beside my bed. I was just tired, and I was like, I'll just set this here. Got up in the middle of the night in the dark, and I was maybe a little bit high on mushrooms. And I was like, I gotta pee. So it was very exciting. So I had to like roll out of bed like really quick, and I slammed my foot down right on the controller and snapped it right in half. So yeah, that's the stupidity level I'm at on some moments, but then on other moments I can tell you about geography like a motherfucker. So anyways, we've waited because, well, there's a meme that sums it up. The meme that I saw the other day was, so the news lied to us about COVID-19 for 2 years, but everything we're hearing about the Ukraine is true, right? It's a very funny little meme, and it makes you think. We were getting to the point a month ago where we were like, nothing we heard about COVID, numbers, vaccine numbers, vaccine propaganda, positive or negative.
Well, even the crap at the convoy.
The convoy, we didn't believe anything we read, because the convoy, we had boots on the ground with guests, in Toronto, and other people in Ottawa, friends of ours, personal videos of castles and parties and barbecues, and then 3 weeks later there were horses marching through crowds of people because they were apparently Nazis. All these people were Nazis, right? You were racist if you showed up to honk your horn. We also saw videos of residents of Ottawa screaming at people for honking. So we got to see what was really going on, but the news made it out like they were there basically terrorizing the place like terrorists.
Well, this is the one thing that I want to tackle all the time, and I'm going to continually tackle.
The point is, you can't trust the news.
Part of it. So I'm going to continually tackle the media all the time. Yeah. There's going to be episode after episode after episode where you're going to hear, oh, the news said this today. Oh, the media said this today. If you're
a fan of CP24, our show might not be for you.
Yeah. Well, no. So like, even when it came down to the convoy.
# fuck CP24.
So at the convoy, there was a story of protesters who actually broke into an apartment building and set fire. And then the person who actually set fire was arrested, and he wasn't related to the convoy whatsoever. And the Ottawa police came out to say, yep, there's no correlation to the protest at all. And so the news media had to retract that story and go back on everything they say. But that seems to be the ongoing pattern. It's like, hey, we're going to report on this, and in 3 months we're going to apologize and retract that story. But as long as we can sway the public opinion enough just to spread our agenda,
because we all know that the 2 months later, it doesn't count, guys.
Yeah.
Let's talk the ambulance. Remember, ambulance blocked. Somebody died. Couldn't get to the hospital. Complete bullshit. You know what I mean? There's lots of space in the streets. There was actually an entire section of the trucker convoy. If anybody watched any of the interviews with the people that ran it, I can't remember the lady's name. But either way, there was the leaders of the convoy had met to talk about how they had it planned out so that trucks would come and go, so that there was no lack of supply to grocery stores, because that was the big thing. That was how they sold us that the convoy was evil, was that they were going to starve us with their protest. While they were there, organizing the protest and the bouncy castles and the barbecues and the music and the DJs, they were also planning trucks in and out of the city so that there was no lack of supply.
Yeah.
They were also planning routes and parking spaces so that tow trucks and police cars and everybody like that could get around. It was all part of the plan. But you didn't hear about that. CP24 didn't report on that. No. Because nobody wants to hear that. They reported on how they were fucking terrorists and they're all Nazis and they were down there slaying children in the streets or whatever the fuck they were lying about.
And when our prime minister came out to say that people donating to this cause was funding terrorism, that really helped.
GoFundMe took all their money and all that shit got dirty fast.
That helped sway public opinion. And then, sure enough, when it comes into the face of the law, the judges were like, actually, they weren't funding terrorism, and you just can't do what you did. You can't just label them terrorism, and it was actually a protest. That's what I'm declaring this as. And everything kind of blew up, but that wasn't mainstream news. It was just the shit to sway public opinion.
And if it did make the news, it was like at the end of the 3 months later, they'll be like, in other news, we have 3 minutes left. The credits are rolling at the bottom of the screen. 3 months ago, this thing we said's not true. We're retracting it. Everything's fine.
Have you ever seen the movie Orgasmo?
Yeah, a long time ago.
So Orgasmo was created by Matt Stone and Trey Parker, the guys of South Park. And it was all about a Mormon becoming a porn star. And the Mormon, there were things that he didn't want to say and he couldn't say and he felt ashamed for saying it. But there were two villains called the Ass Fuck Twins, and the Ass Fuck Twins came in and they were there to terrorize the things. And then Orgasmo comes in and he has to say like, I will stop you, Ass Fuck Twins. But he comes in and he's like, I will stop you. And it's like, say the line, Ass Fuck Twins. So he just kind of rushes it through. And that's kind of like what the media does like 6 months later. They're like, oh yeah, and in other news, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, back to the story of that little dog that I was talking about.
So the point of this whole story is that because of all of this, our faith in the Ukraine footage and or mainstream news is a little rustly. It's not there.
There's something called fog of war, and it's happening on both sides. I'm not going to say Russia's the superhero.
That's a good one. I haven't heard that. That's a fuck. God damn, you're smart sometimes, Mark.
Russia is on one side, and yes, they are spewing propaganda, as well as the entire rest of the world. The difference between them, though,
is that Russia is not making any bones about being socialist state, and they'll look you right in the fucking eyes and say, yeah, we propaganda, and we, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I gotta get super racist for a little bit here.
Okay, just watch the racism.
So, when there are two kinds of drivers that do mean things to me on the road, and I respect one of them and I don't respect the other, and here it is. Here's my racist rant. You can get mad if you want. When an Indian driver cuts you off, or somebody that's brown in general, okay? I can almost respect it because they'll look you right in the eyes, give you a finger, and go, "Fuck you, man! I don't care." You know what I mean? Like they do their thing because they're used to driving, and this is true. They're used to driving aggressive. You usually wherever they came from. I mean, if it's a certain countries, there's no lights. You yield to your east and your north. Yeah. I know some people from Nepal, friends of mine that grew up in Nepal, and they drive here and they're like, let me show you a video of what it was like back home last year. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
driving conditions are different everywhere. I have a buddy who's from Colombia who's like, you guys drive very different here. It's like, yeah.
Oh, and he made it back?
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll get to that later. Jesus. So anyways, there's the brown people that do the cutting off or the something aggressive or taking a parking spot, and you'll go, "Hey asshole," and he'll go, "Fuck you," right back. And then there's the Asian people that might do something to cut you off or whatever, and they most of the time don't seem to have a clue that they're even doing it.
It's kind of
a little more of an oblivious, like they cut you off and you looking like yelling like "What the fuck," and they don't even notice. They don't even know you're yelling. Maybe you're honking.
There could have been like they weren't checking their blind spots and they just kind of cut you off and you're like, I mean, Dane Cook has a big joke about this too, just like where he's literally talking about Asian drivers coming into his lane and he's like, hello. He says, this is what every good white guy says when
exactly.
Hello.
So anyways, my point is the evil that fucks me and looks at me and says, I'm fucking you, I can handle and respect more than I can handle lies, propaganda. I will lead you this way, but I really want you to look this way. You know, this fog of war, cloudy, whatever we want you to believe. Put on your tinfoil hat and do some internet research so you can actually figure out what's going on. I don't want it. At least when they're like, yeah, we'll torture people if they fuck with our government. Also, don't go into the Ukraine. It's ours. You know what I mean? It's just... It's boom. It's to the point. I don't agree with his human rights. Russia's a horrible place. I'd never live there. I'm not saying that what he does to his people is good. I'm not condoning anything about Putin. I'm not condoning anything about this shit. I'm just saying he says what it is. People can leave if they want. You want to leave, go to another country.
I mean, the worst part about it all is it's games of politics, and the people in Ukraine are suffering.
The only people who lose in war are the people. So yeah, we got to agree right away that all the war is a bunch of rich people sending poor people to die for them. Yeah. Cassius Clay, or Muhammad Ali, as he was known after, said flat out, I will not be sent on a plane to go kill other poor people. It was one of the best lines ever when he was refusing to be drafted into the... Vietnam or Korea. Fuck. Mind farting. Whichever one he was alive around. I think it was... I'm going to go with Nam, because I was watching F is for Family. Yeah. And he was in Korea, so Nam would have been the one after, right? No, he was. I don't remember. Anyway, I'm really like I said, I'm smart with geography, but
the Vietnam War.
It was Vietnam. Okay, so anyways, yeah, he was like, "Fuck that, I'm not going to do that shit," and but without soldiers volunteering to do that stuff, our freedom wouldn't be where it is. So it's a real interesting situation. So the thing with Russia and the Ukraine kind of just goes like this. Russia's a bad place, but Russia makes all their money, as you said, with oil. Yeah. And their oil flows through the Ukraine to get to them. So the UN started showing a bunch of interest and pulling political backdoor deals to get the Ukraine part of NATO, which would be very basically political and social suicide for Russia. Yeah. Now, Russia's a shitty socialist place that does things that we as Westerners don't condone to their people and the way they run things. Is it their right to do it? Well, they are their own country, so I don't know. They do their thing. So you're poking a bear. You know what that's kind of like to me? That'd be like me. I'm skinny and I'm white. Okay? That'd be like me going down to Green Bay and Scarborough. Okay? And just walking down the street and selling drugs. Walking down, hey, you need drugs? Hey, you need drugs? Does that sound like a good idea to go to one of the parts of town where the most drugs is probably sold and just start selling drugs and just being like, well, I know there's a lot of people that like drugs down here, so I think I'm just going to start selling them. I'm not worried about the police. I'm worried about the other drug dealers. Yeah. Okay? So that's, is it good that they're there selling drugs? Is that okay that a Green Bay is the spot to go, get a hit of smack? No, it's horrible. It's not a good fucking thing. But it's there. It's not going anywhere. It's been there forever. You know what I mean? Like, the drug trade exists. That doesn't mean you should go in and start poking that bear. Yeah. And so that's kind of where that is. So that's why. So a lot of people would say, well, the UN should be spreading because it's, what are they promoting? Peace and unity and all that stuff and one world government. What was that?
Yeah.
They are. But you know what I mean? Like, so then they should, because then they would take over, the Ukraine would become more peaceful and blah, 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 blah. And then Russia can kind of deal with their own problem. Like, it's just one of those don't poke the bear situations. Yeah. Get in a room and talk about it. No, they didn't do that. They just started doing backdoor deals. So the Ukraine people are the ones losing in the end. But is Russia defending its only financial source of income, its main source? That'd be basically like someone finding a way to siphon trees out of Canada, trees and fresh water. It would almost
be like your prime minister, cutting off your bank account.
Yeah, right? It's kind of funny that I'm sitting here going, Russia's a horrible place, and the things they do to their people. And it's funny because we're starting to do the same shit, and I'm not kidding.
Listening to the SH0T Pod.
To hear full episodes, you can find us on Spotify,
Apple Podcasts,
Google,
iHeartRadio,
and much more.
Please ball kick subscribe.
Abuse that little bell to be notified of new content.
We'll have a lot more coming.
And it's always fun.